Family Association.
On this fundamental issue, I will not yield, and Planned Parenthood will not yield.
All the odds against us. Faithfulness is the word.
My religion compels me, and I love it for it, to be against discrimination of any kind in our country.
Our rights come from nature and God, not from government.
All God asks of you is faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness.
Fighting for the family, standing for the church, laboring to return to a moral and biblically based culture.
This is the American Family Association at AFA Today.
And we are so glad you're with us from the belly of the news beast in the heart of Lower Manhattan, right in the shadow of the Freedom Tower and just north of the Trinity Church Cemetery. It's AFA Today. AFR Talk is where you find us each weekday, and couldn't be happier to be here. Maybe as happy as the San Antonio Spurs were after their big win last night. Also, much more happy than the very sad New York Rangers who lost the Stanley Cup over the weekend. But regardless, Kevin McCullough is my name. We're so glad that you're with us. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Though I have to tell you, from the time I got off the air with you on Friday till right this very minute, the biggest story in the world only got bigger. And now there's enough press focused on it that the White House is actually having to do something about it and so forth. But it is not going well in Iraq. I don't know if you've followed the headlines this morning. They think that they've turned up some pictures that show as many as 1,700 Iraqi soldiers being forced to lay down in a ditch, face down, and then Al-Qaeda just spraying them with bullets from one end of the thing to the other, and 1,700 of them dead. That's just one number that we're getting out. And it's interesting. I continue to have conversations with people, both in person and on air, about, okay, you don't want American boots on the ground. I understand. You were fatigued of the war. But do we live in a day and age, honestly, where we can just put our head in the sand and go, oh, I don't think that they'll bother us if we just pretend they're not there? See, I don't think that's the way it works. That's not what Mike Rogers said on the weekend talk shows, telling Fox News Sunday, this is as dangerous as it gets. Issued a devastating warning that the growing Al-Qaeda contingent in Iraq represents a problem that we're either going to face in New York City or we're going to face it in Iraq. He went on to say, these are not monkey bar terrorists out in the desert somewhere planning some very low-level attack. These are sophisticated, command and controlled, seasoned combat veterans who understand the value of terrorism operations external to the region, meaning Europe and the United States. Yeah, that's the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Rogers that said that. Then Senator Lindsey Graham added on the same broadcast, Iraq and Syria combined are going to be the staging area for the next 9/11 if we don't do anything about it. If Baghdad falls, if the central government falls, a disaster awaits us of monumental proportions. See, I can already tell that this is the very future of our republic is at stake here. Because as on my Saturday night broadcast, which some of you may listen to on the web or in some other way, but we took calls all evening. I took calls on this broadcast last Friday. There was a continual string of people that said something similar over and over again, and basically it was this: we lost so many the last time. Too much blood has been shed. Why can't somebody else take care of it? Why isn't this somebody else's worry? And I'm not saying that you don't have valid points. But if at the end of all of those points that you make, the end of the equation is, you know what an equation is, right? 2 + 2 - 3 + 4 × 6, whatever. And then at the very end, there's the equal sign, and then whatever comes after the equal sign is the final answer to that equation. And if the equation is terrorist attack plus soldiers surrender plus some are murdered in ditches minus the Iranians wanting to get involved to protect, plus the Congress feels bad about it, plus people ended up dead last time, plus we're tired of it, plus it's too expensive, equals, if after the equal sign is free staging ground for the next 9/11 to occur, are we really as a country willing to say, okay, we can live with that? And I'm not saying that you have to be comfortable with it or uncomfortable with it. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. But I don't think it's anything but junior high silliness to just say, why can't somebody else deal with this? I think it's junior high silliness to think no deeper than this than to go, oh, well, these wars were all based on falsehoods anyway. I think it's actually quite junior high-ish, silly. I can't come up with the right word for it. Sophomoric, maybe. To look at the situation that's there, and at the end of the equation, if whatever the equation is, after the equal sign, if we end up saying, but Al-Qaeda has now the better parts of 2 full countries to train militant jihadis and commandos to come and carry out stuff against us. Is that the solution? Is that the price? Is that the number that we're willing to live with? Because every person that's said so far, oh, well, we absolutely shouldn't do anything about this. This is their problem. They should leave it. Nobody will answer that question for me. And I think it's a reasonable assessment. We can have great concerns about more Americans being killed in combat. That can be a legitimate concern and a reason for why the strategy of what we do there should be thought out very, very carefully. So I'm not discounting the concerns of people that say, well, we might lose more boys. We might. But at the end of the equation, are we willing to see Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., Tupelo, Mississippi, Key Largo, Florida, go up in a mushroom cloud? If we're okay with that, if that's okay, then we can be okay and say, okay, then we're just gonna ignore it. We're gonna do what we want to do for the next 20 years while they plan, and then when it happens, and then we'll figure it out after that. If that's really the way Americans want to look towards what we've got to do, then okay. But at least be honest about it. Don't make the specious argument that, oh, well, everybody lied about it. There wasn't real danger. Al-Qaeda doesn't exist. This is all the fairy tale telling of the Halliburton Corporation and the New World Order and all the rest of it. I mean, all of the junk that's going to get thrown out there, and the people are going to say, oh, well, that's because this is so and so. Governor Perry went to a secret meeting in Brussels, Belgium, and that means that Star Trek's guys are going to come down and take over the world. It's not quite that bad, but there are some that get kind of stringy. If your conspiracy theory is okay with saying in another 15, 20 years, maybe not that long, that we see Washington, D.C. become a pile of rubble and nuclear ash, if you're okay with that, then let's just pretend like this stuff isn't going on over there right now. But let's not for a minute, friend, believe that if we don't do something, if we don't acknowledge what's going on there and address it in some cohesive, strategic way, that we're going to be left alone, then we're the biggest fools that ever walked the earth. Because Al-Qaeda wants to do 2 primary things: kill Americans and destroy Israel. And then when they're all done with that, they want to kill as many Shia as they can because they think they're heretics. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. I'm sure you're reacting already to some of the things I've said, so we'll load up the phones and take your calls. Okay, here's what our government's doing. In Baghdad, you know that we have the world's largest foreign embassy of any of the American embassies on the planet. So, and it's got like 5,000 people that work at it. It's in the green zone. It's heavily guarded. But we're already destroying documents, and we're already starting to move people out. In fact, we're going to move some people to cities that are in the southern region of Iraq, which I think just makes them even more sitting ducks. Then we're going to move some people out of Iraq into Lebanon, into our embassy there, and they're going to work on Iraqi stuff from Lebanon. But it sounds to me like we don't have a lot of confidence that Baghdad's going to hold. And maybe that's because we're not going to try very hard to keep al-Qaeda from overrunning Baghdad. See, what I don't understand is that al-Qaeda gives us these perfect targets. You've got this long road of vehicles that just stretch from one city to the next. And you just come in and you just drop bomb after bomb after bomb on those trucks. I mean, you just hit them. You light them up like 4th of July, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just in a straight line. I don't understand why that's so difficult. And if you want to do it with drones, do it with drones. I don't know that you can get as precise of hits with the drones as you can with, say, F-18s coming off of carriers in the Mediterranean, but why not use both? I don't know that al-Qaeda has the ability to take down our piloted aircraft, much less the kind of stealth drone technology that we have. So why aren't we doing that? And why does it take the president, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days to go, well, I need to evaluate it for me. I remember why, because he was playing golf this weekend. Yeah. He was celebrating the fact that the federal government taxed us, you and me, for $1.9 trillion. That's awesome. And despite record revenues, despite bringing in more money than they've ever brought in, still running a $436 billion deficit. But that didn't get in the way. He was on the links in Palm Springs this weekend. And I actually, one of the broadcasts I work with has some affiliates in Palm Springs, and it's very interesting to hear those people talking about how much fun it was having everything in their little town shut down because Air Force One was on the runway. And evidently the family couldn't take the same plane as the president. This is getting to be a habit with this guy. They couldn't take the same plane. So the Air Force One had to come in, and then Air Force Two, or whatever they call it, when the rest of the family arrived, you know, grandma and the wife and the little girls, when they arrived, now you got 2 planes sitting on the runway, and the whole city shut down so he can play some golf. You know, because that's something that he hasn't done enough of in his presidency. Can't have computer programs that don't lose emails from the treasurer. Can't find cloud backup for the IRS executives for your email so you don't lose them. For some reason, they can't find that technology. But, man, can we schedule golf courses all over the country. Just seems to work out so well for them that way. We've got some other things I want to talk about as well. We'll get to all of them. We'll take your calls as well. 888-589-8840. Because we've got folks from Texas and Oklahoma and Michigan that all want to weigh in on it, and I want to give you all a chance to do that. But we are going to take our break. Kevin McCullough, always glad to hear from you. By the way, if you want to connect with us, of course, you can on Facebook, on Twitter. My email address is kmcradio@gmail.com, kmcradio@gmail.com. The Facebook page is just afatoday.com. Just go to afatoday.com. Type that in. It goes right to the Facebook page. And then you can also tweet me at Twitter at KMC Radio. It's easy enough to do that as well. Kevin McCullough is my name. This is AFA Today. That's American Family Association's Today broadcast on the American Family Radio Talk Network, and we're glad that you're with us. Taking your calls next on the Iraq issue and a few more headlines here in the middle of the day on AFA Today on AFR Talk.